Welcome to My Favorite CX, a podcast that celebrates exceptional customer experiences. To listen to today's, please choose from one of the following options.
Welcome to My Favorite Customer Experience, the podcast that talks about positive customer experiences in the world of technology. I'm Chris Holt from Holt CX Consultancy here in the UK. And I'm joined today by Marián Jazbec from NEOSD. Marián, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Chris, for having me today. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's a nice sunny morning in the UK in December, which that doesn't always happen.
That's not really usual.
No,
no. Lucky you, but we have weather like you have usually. So here, I'm based in Slovakia, so there is a right balance, between those two regions.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take the positives today. The sun is out. Marián, we used to work together at NICE back in the day, but let's talk about what you're doing now. So you founded NEOSD after experiencing struggles in the sales process across your career with non-revenue driving actions, those things that salespeople hate doing but have to do. And with NEOSD, you've created an AI go-to-market engineering studio, helping sales teams to automate what slows them down, focusing on what truly drives revenue through next best action systems, co-pilots, and data-driven playbooks. Sounds like
you are hired, Chris. You are hired. You said that well. So that's exactly what we are doing. So I can maybe give you a little bit story and background information how that started, because as I was also helping other companies to grow, or I was part of usually the customer service or sales, but I still say it's really revenue department. It doesn't matter what you do, even customer experience is really connected to revenue. So if you like it or not, revenue, that's the goal. We would like to really bring more revenues even from customer service perspective, because there may be MPs is higher, etc., etc. So I have been there like over 20 years, and I could see that what is really missing really across all those companies where I used to work, or as a consultant, or maybe as an employee for another company where we work together. There's they have like a fragmented piece of software. Usually now everyone has SaaS, like 10 pieces of software. This is for MPS, this is for call center, this is for outbound, this is for anything. And you know that pretty well as you used to work also for NICE, and I liked as well the approach which was there for consolidate everything under one platform, and it's not really fragmented. And this is, I think, what we are doing as well, but for sales, because I could see that there is really potential for sales or for revenue departments, where I like the term, which I think NICE created, like a Frankenstack, where you have a lot of tools, they are not connected, no one layer. And even if there is like a BI tool, there is still like fragmented data in that field, and you have no one context. And what we realized while we have been doing audits and discussion with the clients, that they are really missing context. They have a lot of signals, but they cannot really convert them to action. I can give you just a real example. You are receiving a lot of calls, inbound, outbounds, you are having good conversations, but you have no idea what's the difference between Chris, for example, the best sales guy, versus Marián. Usually, of course, you may say, yeah, there is a gong for that. Yeah, but first of all, there is a gong, it can analyze things, but it's maybe for top companies which can afford it. But there's only one piece. Then you have a CRM. Okay, gong disconnected to CRM, but then is MPS, it's disconnected. Maybe there is key account management system where you are dealing with your customers. So all the data is really fragmented, and we would like to really make sure that this is under one key layer, because if you want to start building any AI use cases, like a next best action, or maybe what's next recommendation offer for them, or what you should really do as a CRO or as a leader, then you need to have really all the data in one platform, and we call it like a HD space. And this is something what we are creating right now as a product. We started as GTM studio, helping automate things, but we realized, what the hell, it's like across all the companies the same thing, fragmented and one layer is missing and context is completely gone.
So essentially you're sitting in that orchestration layer now of bringing all of those data sources together.
Yes, you are completely right. We don't want to bring another tool or another SaaS, but usually we are implementing things inside of their stack. And, like that layer is more or less invisible. And the question is whether maybe, chat where you would like to ask what was happening yesterday in my sales organization. So you can really chat with a chatbot, which is still inside of your Salesforce or inside of your nice CXone or anywhere where it needs to really be, because in the end, you don't want to have another tool. And we see that as well from like a SaaS perspective. It might die in certain cases. I'm not saying big companies like Salesforce die tomorrow or NICE, but it's really happening that like the favorite word, which I hate, like agentic mode, which is kind of, let's say, happening also inside of sales, can do a lot of interactions. And then, of course, if there is a database, you can also not do just a chat. You can also do workflows, which you can, create. If this happens, then do this, so you can have an action. And this is exactly why I do believe also like a GTM engineering is not just a buzzword, which is coming mainly from United States. In the US or UK, in the UK or Europe, there are not so many GTM engineers right now, but it makes completely sense because you don't want to be really dependent on two people. Hey, Chris, change that. And it takes 2 weeks to change it, so it will be faster and faster in terms of sales cycle, customer service, etc. So you need to see every point, and really you need to decide even before customer realize that there was a change or there was something happening.
And it's a really interesting point now that actually the Frankenstack can still exist. And if people have already invested in various different bits of technology, moving those bits of technology might be difficult. But now technology has moved to the point, I think this is what's quite exciting to me, is that, even 5 years ago, the idea of integrating something in the contact center, that was a headache. That was, for those listening, Marián has jumped out of his seat with the fear of it. But the idea now that you can take APIs, that AI can take an API and basically do the hard lifting for you. You have this orchestration layer that now is making all of this possible. So it's not necessarily a need to replace the stack. It's bringing the right technology and the right approach above that stack into this orchestration layer.
That's correct. And you're right that it's not about like reduce. And that's the reason why we don't say that we reduce number of your tools you are using, because maybe Gong is the best for transcription, CRM is Salesforce is for CRM, CXone for call center, but we give you that context, and that's exactly it. The context is, I think, key even for future, because you would like to really scale your go-to-market engine and not people, because let's be honest, from future perspective, future is bright, mainly for robots and AI, but not less for us. Let's say it that way. But this is exactly where it goes. Of course, I do believe that there will be many jobs created exactly for people, as we did not know influencers, podcasters like you. It did not exist in the past. Now it exists because the tools or the stack allows it. But in the future, definitely you will need less people for certain actions. And I think you need to, as a go-to-market leader or even like a customer experience leader, it doesn't matter, because I still keep it as one. You need to be ready for that. You need to really bring right tools, orchestrate them, get a context, and decide not based on feelings, but more data-driven, because this is the future.
I think it's a really interesting point, and it's what I'm seeing within contact centers as well. Is roles are going to change. You may not need as many agents or as many team leaders, but I'm seeing new roles emerge. And I always, when I go into a new business, I ask for the curious people, the people that want to get into the data, and especially when you implement a new contact center, the layers of data there now are. Having people that can go in and look at that and interpret that, these aren't roles that necessarily existed before. So, the nature of work is evolving.
It used to be, I think, data science, people who were analyzing things, but I really spoke with a lot of CEOs and C-level people past 2 months, and there are like smaller companies, they could not afford it. Big companies, they have too many, but they have too many requests because they are so big. So they are missing context. And after 2 months, when you get your report, when you get your context, it's too late. It's too late. So that's exactly where I do believe that, as you described, that layer could help you to get context faster, and the faster you adapt and have a data on one unified layer, that can bring the revenues or benefits for your company.
I guess that's at the heart of what you're doing, is removing friction.
More or less, it's a friction and give the right signals, because it can be, let's imagine that those data can be used from various angles and perspectives. So it can be for Chris to improve, and it can say, Chris, there is 90% chance that you won't close this deal because you are asking 10 times less questions than others. That can help you personally as a sales guy or sales rep or manager. Hey, Chris is asking 10 times less questions than Marián, and Marián's successful because here is his here are his results versus Chris' results. So you can get a context, and what's the reason behind that. What are the patterns as well? And to be honest, even if you have a massive data and you have billions of rows, you cannot analyze it in a spreadsheet and in real time. So this is, I think, the key point, to mention that that's exactly different layers, different angles, and you may even go and see, okay, so what are, those questions which are really working for Marián? You can ask, you can prepare playbooks based on that. So usually the limitation, it's our experience and what we have been living so far, because you try to always refer to the past, but not to the future. So we don't know what we don't know at this point right now with an AI.
I think that's the thing as well, is people look at it through the paradigm of what's historically come before, not necessarily the what is possible. And when you look at some of the tools available now in contact centers and to sales teams, the level of sophistication in anticipating customer needs and anticipating where an agent could be better, it's already light years ahead of what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, that's true. As I remember, it was a 2016 when I joined also CXone team. It was, as you said, a Frankenstack and siloed approach. It's more or less it will be 10 years, and what changed? In many companies, nothing. They still live the same, phone calls, and that's it. They don't even have analytics or any insights, which is weird. Maybe I lived in a different bubble, but sometimes I feel that I live in a different world, when I speak, and they still, they have papers, notes, what the hell? How is that possible? How you can earn so much money?
No, I think it's true. Having, again, worked vendor side and knowing the art of the possible, I always say it makes me a really bad customer because I know what is possible. But yeah, you go into businesses when you start consulting and you start looking at processes and you realize technology has moved on a great deal. Processes and people, they aren't there yet.
And that's a very good point. That's the reason why we started as a consulting business, because first of all, I think that's a new field where you need to educate customers about AI and how that could be used for go-to-market engineering, because they usually they don't have idea, they don't know what they don't know. So we started with the things like, what are your current processes? They have no processes in place. They have stories usually. Even big company, we are right now running one audit, and then we should move with HD Space to that company. It's really global, 700 million euro, maybe turnover approximately around the world, premise, headquarters, etc. processes, no processes, and it works. But there is a but, that's exactly it. When now AI is becoming like more data driven, and you need to feed AI with the really right processes in place, it's difficult to even start with those things because you don't know what is really happening, how it is happening. The second problem is it's completely fragmented across region. US different than Asia and then Europe, different methodologies, different qualification or no qualifications. And they are expecting, like that the cells could potentially or should potentially grow. Yeah, it will grow naturally, maybe by 10 to 15% because the market is growing, but maybe they could grow 30 to 40% easily, just if they change the things which they are doing right now. So it's really basic things. People are expecting that you will bring AI and miracle happens and I will do double the revenues. It's not true. It's not true. If you are scaling chaos, like it's still chaos even outside of AI.
Yeah, your foundations still have to be strong. You cannot build AI on sand.
No, you cannot. You cannot. You need to go really first, like proper processes, data, and then you can create even the first layer, and then you can get a context. So these are like 4 steps you need to do it if you like it or not, and that's exactly what we do. And we would love to be in the 3rd stage as a company. But usually we start really one by one. Like it's almost impossible. I was just expecting, okay, maybe this company is huge, they are successful. No, again, like back to basics. Elementary school, you cannot skip that and go to university.
Let's take a pause there, and when we come back, we'll reflect on one of your favorite customer experiences.
Your call is important to us. Please hold and you'll be connected to your next favorite customer experience shortly.
Welcome back to my favorite customer experience. I'm here with Marián Jazbec from NEOSD, and Marián, I'm going to ask you about a favorite customer experience or favorite experience from within the customer experience industry.
Yeah, so the best experience I had was with NICE, and I used to talk a lot about NICE also today, but it was really like a good school, good team there as well, beautiful product, and big company which has really also vision that was something unusual, because usually you see that in those American movies where there is a smart board, they are doing smart things. But usually in the reality, I see that every day it's not as bright as I'm describing. But at that time, like I was really positively shocked as an employee at the time. Like nobody was forcing me exactly to say things which are not true. So when I was demoing, I could easily say, we don't have that feature. No, that's not what we are doing. This is not our scope. Because usually, sales guys, they are like people pleasers. They like to say yes, yes, yes.
Just say yes. Just say yes in
yes.
as many ways possible to get the deal.
Yeah, and then we will realize like how to maybe deliver it. And at that time, we did not say yes or we could say also no, only not only yes. And that was like a shocking for me, because big company can say no. So they are really well positioned, I would say, because you can really say who you are not as well, and where you want to position yourself. And I think that's like a liberating also for sales guy or for, pre-sales guy, because that's it. That's the reality, Why? Because you are building trust. And customers were saying that's really shocking. Like you are saying, you don't have it. That's unusual. Usually, your competition, they had like everything. Yeah, they did. Maybe, but let's see when it comes to delivery, how it goes, so we don't want to lie, because we would like to really say what is inside, what's not. And that, I think that was positive for two angles because, I'm right now still mentioning NICE as a good example. So even if I left because I went somewhere else, I still, talk positively about that brand. And customers, even if they did not have a good experience, with others, they could return back because there was a trust, because maybe they won because they were lying. There was really price tag which was beyond, and that happened a lot. So I think that's exactly where I do believe that you need to really build trust and relationship, and mainly in a B2B, and that's exactly where AI cannot replace us in a while, let's say. And that's exactly where you can be different, even from like a go-to-market engine perspective, and give your sales guy, for example, sales guys, to build those relationships, and the other things like notes, etc. You can leave it on AI. That's exactly the point.
I think it's a big thing as well here. I mean, we were at NICE at the same time. So you came in through an acquisition as well. So you came into that culture.
Yes.
But I always found, and even before when I was at Ring Central and I was responsible for the NICE product there, integrity matters. And being able to openly say, yeah, we don't do that, but we do this really well, and we do this really well. And being just having that level of openness, having that level of integrity. I still get feedback now when I put a demo out of, I'll have people reach out to me and go, well, we trust you because we've seen your video. We don't know you, but we've seen you talk about it, so therefore we trust. And I think that's something that was really robust within the culture at NICE of, yeah, you don't need to say that the product does 10 things it doesn't do. You back what brings you to a table and you talk about that, and you do it with integrity.
Yeah, I think that's kind of connected to culture as well. And I do believe that there are companies, not to just mention NICE, because we could potentially ask maybe some budgets because we are promoting NICE today more than my own company. But if you go even to company like Lego, for example, so they, if your employees are satisfied and they have integrity, they are proud, and they really speak the same language internally and externally, that's exactly how we can build successful company, I think. So if you create toxic environment, it will be toxic even outside. So that's exactly where I think people should be looking right now in a era of AI and automation, because this is something what won't be replaced in the next coming, let's say, years. So I do agree that integrity gives you then also kind of freedom, because you don't need to really think what did I say last time? It's a weird thing, but it really, liar, how do you remember what you said?
And that takes me back to 22 years ago now, which feels like an ice age away. My second install as an engineer, putting little via IP offices up in offices, and I had a great example of that. I was installing, and I was 21, 22, and the customer went, "Oh, I hear you're part of the engineering academy at whatever company you were at." And I had to think on my feet, because there wasn't an engineering academy. I was the engineering academy. There was an academy of one. I was a placement student at the time, and I get that it was maybe a white lie by a salesperson so that they didn't go, oh, here's a young person installing things. But it meant every time I went to that customer, I had to prepare a backstory, and I had to, add structure to this white lie that a salesperson had told. Because in theory, if we had an engineering academy, why was it they were only ever seeing me? But yeah, it's that whole integrity piece. If you want to stand behind your claims and what you're able to do.
Yeah, that's true. But right now, maybe it could be easier because you can create your clone, so with AI. But I can imagine that it was not easy, definitely, to build, I understand, and mainly I think founders, when they are starting company, they try to really, oversell it or say things which might not be correct. So, and this is exactly why also we are building that we are very honest. We are two guys who are building things using AI employees to build things around. And it makes sense. People trust us because we are saying how it is and not what what we are not at this point. So that's exactly it, because then you can easily scale, build the trust, and people are returning back to us even if they did not buy. Now they are saying, hey, I have this, because there was a trust built, and that's I think key even for future.
And it's clear it's influenced your behavior. Being part of that strong integrity-led culture at NICE has bled through into this role and what you're starting up now.
Yeah, definitely correct. I think that it was good school from many angles and perspectives. So even from sales perspective, I for the first time could see in the big companies, for example, like customer-centric selling methodology. I'm not saying it was perfect, but that was the best, I would say, implementation I have seen. Maybe I haven't seen everything, but to be honest, I mean, it was really like a customer in the center that was working. It was not like just we are selling customer service software, but we really see that customer. There was always empty chair for that customer. That's what I was feeling at that time, and then that's exactly why I'm living my new era as well right now. So it's always with us.
I'm sure Monica and Nick will be loving the mention of customer-centric selling as well. I think I've still got the book somewhere in my office as well. That's how much it stayed with me. Like, yeah, the method, and it sounds so obvious, but putting the customer at the center of what you do. But I think for me, that was quite a new thing 20 years into my career as well.
Yeah, I'm just like wondering how they could potentially, change that methodology in the future, because there will be, less contact, and even this is happening right now. So you have a lot of research even before you buy things, So right now, GPT and the Geo instead of CEO, etc. So a lot of things are changing, and buyers will be definitely more and more clever. So let's see if that works in the future and what kind of methodology needs to be created in the AI era. But that's still working somehow, because the relationships are not replaced. So maybe you have less contacts and people are more educated, and that's exactly why you need to, as a sales guy, prepare even better for that call. You need to do your research. You need to maybe use GPT if you don't have tool stack for that, and do the research and analyze who that company is, how much they earn, what their problems are, what is visible on the market. And that's exactly where that's where you build the trust, because you prepared for that call, as we spoke about it at the beginning, like a preparation, 90% of success. And that's exactly help you to build that relationship, because they feel that, okay, I read everything about maybe Chris Holt's company, and right now he knows everything about me. That's shocking, I feel like I'm friends, that's impossible. That's exactly where I think that it goes.
I think also it's an interesting point as well of, that level of research on the customer side is going up. So where we're moving towards is using the data on both sides of relationships. So if you're going into a new sales opportunity and you haven't researched, you will stand out, and not in a good way. And I think that's a really nice note to kind of reflect on as we wrap up.
Yeah, in the past it was easy to say, yeah, so tell me about your companies, what exactly you are doing, because there was more or less internet only or Google search, and maybe companies, they did not expect that. But as right now they use GPT and large language models and search and scraping, etc. So more and more people are open, let's say, and they are expecting that, okay, you were so lazy, Marián, so you did not do even like a one click. Who is NEOSD? Like, what the hell? Like, and this is, I think that's exactly why it's like kind of expected. So if you like it or not, even if you say, I don't need AI, you do need AI, because customers will expect that, as you said, like you are the worst customer for some companies because you know what's possible in terms of technology. But that's exactly the inside of sales, So people will be more educated and they use technology. So if you are not, prepared for the conversation, might not go well.
And let's draw that conversation to an end. Marián, where can people learn more about NEOSD?
Ideally speaking, they can connect me for even a free consultation. I like to share things which I've learned, and they can book 30 minutes to 1 hour free consult via LinkedIn, or if they go to neosd.co, easily they can reach out. There is even our calendar, and we can book a slot and have a conversation with them.
Wonderful. We'll put those notes into the show notes, those links. We'll have some QR codes up. If you're watching, you'll probably see some QR codes. And Marián, you are the Christmas special. So we're going to be releasing this on Christmas Eve. So feels weird as we're recording this on the 2nd of December to wish you a happy Christmas. But have an awesome Christmas and New Year. And to everyone that's listened and tuned in over the first year, thank you very, very much for listening, and have a wonderful Christmas and New Year.
Thank you, Chris. Happy Christmas and also end of the year. Wish you all the best in 2026.
Thanks, Marián, and thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you again soon in 2026.
Thank you for listening to My Favorite CX. Your listenership is important to us. On your keypad, please press a number between 1 and 5 to rank how much you've enjoyed your experience.